Well, the United States, which has a massive military recruiting problem, is actively prepping for war in the Middle East. All evidence is pointing in that direction. So we're going to show you that evidence here in a moment. But here's a question. Would you be comfortable sending your son or daughter to die in the Middle East right now? So you have to ship them off to fight in Gaza, to fight in Israel, to fight in Iran, to fight in Saudi Arabia, to fight in Egypt. Would you be okay with sending your American son or daughter off to die in the Middle East?
Well, let's reframe the question based on how it has been in the last 20 years and the class and race of people who have been dying in the Middle East for America's endless war. So would you be willing to send poorer people for this war? Maybe not your kid, but maybe underclassed people that you don't have to see every day. Would you be okay with that? Because that's how we have been living.
Right, unless we have a draft. But I mean, yeah, your son or daughter or poor people or lower class individuals who are not as well off perhaps as you are, would you be okay with that? Let's rewind.
Well, we have been okay with that. That's how we have been living. I don't think
we have been okay with that. I think the government has been okay with that.
Collectively, that's how we have been living.
Okay. So, yeah, let us know in the comments below if you're okay with America's sons or daughters going off to fight in the Middle East. Let's rewind the clock, though, first on all of this. As soon as President Biden took office, he immediately reversed President Trump's ban on transgender soldiers. Immediately. Here was John Kirby announcing the re-rollout of the transgender plan.
That's exactly right, Andrea. In 2016, the Obama administration opened up service to transgender people to not only be recruited, but to be trained and to be put in the field and into the fleet and to be treated like everybody else in the military. The Trump administration reversed that policy, and today, President Biden is putting the 2016 approach back into effect.
Okay. So then earlier this year, the Biden administration and the United States military then doubled down on their diversity recruitment efforts. Of course, you'll recall the recruiting. Forget about recruiting for white people. Like that is so old school. We don't recruit for white people anymore. That's so World War II. No, instead, if you're a transgender person or you're overweight, you're welcome to join the U.S. military. We'll accept you with open arms. And heck, if you're a transgender, overweight Asian person, then step right up, because American taxpayers will even pay for your gender reassignment surgeries, as we reported here on the show.
You don't have to be Asian.
No, but I'm just trying to be as diverse as possible. Can you be overweight, Asian, transgender? And then, man, you're going to go right to the head of the class. So newly released documents, of course, show the United States military's policy on transgender members includes provisions to skip deployments altogether and receive indefinite waivers for grooming, physical fitness, and drug testing indefinitely. So the Biden policy says the military must provide what it calls medically necessary transgender hormones. Okay, medically necessary. And surgery. Medically necessary transgender surgery. If the person is in the process of transitioning, they will be considered non-deployable. Like that person can't go and fight. This means that a person can join the military, receive taxpayer-funded sex change procedures such as breast removal, breast additions, laser hair removal, voice feminization surgery to sound more like a woman, facial contouring, body contouring, and genital reassignment and more, all the while not reporting for active duty. So you can just rest up while they cut your balls off.
The document does say, just give this little caveat, that the U.S. government doesn't have the capability to do laser hair removal, so you might have to go off campus for that.
Really?
Because they're not like a Clinique counter.
But ball removal.
That's the one thing they can't do. Like the military medical centers can do most of this, but they don't.
Can we just get a military with some freaking laser beams, please? Can we just get a military with some freaking laser beams?
Can we get some Brazilian military doctors in there?
It is a big issue for transgender, trans-identified women, I'm going to call them biological men, who want to go and get their nether regions waxed, because a lot of waxers won't do that because the skin on balls is so much thinner. Sorry, I just said balls. And this is something that creates a lot of litigation, has in Canada, because these trans people say, I am a woman, you must wax my lady garden. And these waxers are saying, you're a man. I work out of my home. You cannot come here. There's a waxer in Canada who's been absolutely harassed for refusing to wax a transgender Brazilian man because, one, she works out of her home alone, and two, she's afraid that she's going to rip him open. There's a visual for you. I hope you're not eating. And he sued her, and he took her to court, and she's been harassed ever since.
So as Grim says, who's a veteran on our team, says it's a great way to afford the surgery. Just join the military.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely right. So
I would really love to trace the money to see just how much the Biden and Obama actually have taken from the pharmaceutical industry, because if you look at what they did during COVID and you look at this is all in favor of the pharmaceutical industry. Make no mistake, this 100% pads the pockets of the pharmaceutical industry.
Of course.
We're going to talk in a minute about how they absolutely tortured Chelsea Manning, but then did give him hormones. Why the Obamacare is really responsible for the administration of cross-sex hormones. There is a reason behind that.
So that's Biden's U.S. military policy. If you're transgendered, the military may be a good place for you, of course, because they will let you out of deployment and pay for your sex change. Oh, and they'll also let you out of physical fitness standards, by the way. We don't want you doing any push-ups or pull-ups because that might interfere with your new breasts, I suppose. What about drag queens? Well, last year, the U.S. Navy hired a new spokesman, Joshua Kelly. You might remember. There he is. There he is in his naval uniform. And then here he is in his other clothes. That's him right there, Yeoman Second Class Joshua Kelly, whose stage name is Harvey Daniels, announced on TikTok in November, of course, that he would be the Navy's first digital ambassador. Watch. Yeah, there he is. He says, since then, I've been an advocate for the LGBT community in the military. And we can't play it because of the music. We'll get copyrighted. But there he is, talking about all the people who've been oppressed for years in the service, who love to be drag queens. And now we can stand out and be proud about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect, because then they don't have to be deployed, because they can just stay home and do this stuff. They can make TikToks for the military to encourage enlistment.
Well,
hey, enlist in the military and get your bits.
You saw Captain America. When you got someone who looks as good as that, they can't go to the battlefield. They have to go on propaganda tours and march on stages and stuff. So this is the new version of Captain America, who will do a tour.
Yeah, do a drag queen tour.
A recruitment tour.
So it's probably not a shock then that the United States military has continued its failure to reach its recruitment goals. So we've seen massive declines in recruitment, and really far lower than the levels needed to sustain an active military. Earlier this year, the United States Army ramped up its diversity recruiting efforts, making sure to feature no white people in their recruiting ads. Again, if you're a black woman or Asian man, the U.S. Army wants you. Or an Asian woman chess player, then you're perfect for the U.S. Army. Watch.
You think knowledge is a powerful weapon? Here, you'll have plenty of ammo. We turn intelligence into tactical success. Explore more than 200 careers at goarmy.com.
Yeah, so if you play chess, the U.S. Army wants you. Preferably if you're Asian, though, not white.
So you can play a board game and kill little wooden characters, or you could play that in real life and kill real people.
Right. So that was the underpoint.
Ammo, just like they said.
Yeah, that's the undercurrent of that ad, right? Which is you want to play with pawns, you want to knock over bishops. Come on, we're going to give you real ammo, and you can go after.
You can kill real people.
You can go kill real people. Here's another Army recruitment video under the Biden administration. This is recent, by the way. I mean, this is only a few months old. This one, they use cartoons and gay pride to draw you in and recruit you.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. When I was 6 years old, one of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed, but she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
Yeah. So
what does her mom? What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly, but they want to highlight the fact that she's
A daughter
she
of
has
two moms.
that she has lesbian moms.
Okay.
So that's the whole point.
And that
of
she's
the
been
ad.
fighting for freedom since she was 6 years old.
Right.
Oh,
Freedom
okay.
of the LGBTQ people. And actually, it looked like when she was jumping over that wall, it almost looked like it said LGBTQ on her military shirt.
Yeah, might
Oh.
have. Good eye.
So if you have straight parents, you don't have that same motivation.
Right. Yeah. Clearly,
Yeah.
you're only. Yeah, the strength comes from having two lesbian moms. Like that's how you get your strength, right? So here's another diversity ad they rolled out this year. See if you can spot the token white people in a bus full of diversity on their way to join the military. Asian, black. Oh, redheaded, because that's nothing says white like redheaded. It's like Brave from Disney. There's a white guy. So it's all about diversity. All about diversity. That's what these ads have been like over the past year and a half to 2 years. It's been all about diversity. And we just showed you some of the lighter versions of it. There's actually been some more extreme versions of it, by the way. Well, something just changed after Israel launched an invasion of Gaza, after Hamas launched a military strike on October 7th that put all eyes on the Middle East. The U.S. military is prepping for war in the Middle East. Clearly and definitively, the U.S. is preparing troops for potential deployment in Israel, positioning Ohio-class nuclear submarines in the Middle East, a violation of international law. American special forces on the ground. U.S. bases being used to house thousands of American soldiers. So the U.S. has even announced the arrival of the nuclear submarine. Like they posted on Twitter, like, let us know. We're ready to go. Active deployment, calling up reserves. The USS Florida submarine is back. The same nuclear submarine, by the way, that destroyed Libya in 2011. Yes, this very same submarine led to the U.S. assassination of Gaddafi. So you see where this is all going. So yesterday, the United States Army rolled out a brand new recruiting advertisement. Interestingly, that it was all timed this way, and it's totally different, by the way. See if you can spot what's totally different about these new Army recruitment ads.
Stand up! All reach your hands.
Wow. Did you guys notice anything odd about that video?
That where they were landing was surrounded by water?
No, you missed it. But Twitter exploded on this. Here's just a few responses. Here's Bashar al-Assad's PR department. I love this Twitter handle. Bashar al-Assad's PR department says, can't hit those recruitment goals, so you're trying to reach out to Midwestern and Southern white guys again, huh? Of course, that was what they always did. Raw Egg Nationalist says the advert is full of white men. Dog, we're going to war. Here's another one. White dudes back in the ads. Things are getting serious. And it goes on. There are no women in this advertisement. Why is that at U.S. Army? Indian Bronson writes.
I think there might have been when they're walking off the field. I thought I spotted a woman.
I didn't
in
see
the
any
back.
women. I didn't see any women. We can play it back.
I don't want to watch it again.
Mark Dice says, where are all the drag queens you've been recruiting for the last few years? This ad gets an F in diversity. Jack Montgomery says, noticing an unusual lack of forced diversity here. What are you plotting? To the U.S. Army. Pete D'Ambroska says, no time for diversity. Now it's wartime, huh, guys?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, And that was the overwhelming response. Just read through, just go to the U.S. Army's YouTube channel and just read through the tens of thousands of responses all saying the same thing. Sudden lack of diversity. Sudden focus on this instead. It's remarkable, actually, how there's a sudden lack of diversity in these new Army recruiting ads. Yeah, I guess it's a racist ad. So I guess maybe people will flag that ad on U.S. Army's website on YouTube as racist. Against white, because that's what they love to do, right? So
I suppose
there's too many white people in this ad. Where's Disney? Disney should step in like they do with Snow White.
Pandaverse.
Like with Snow White, and yeah, exactly, and step in and put, like a black woman in Snow White's role.
Sure.
Or something like that.
All right.
Where is Kathleen Kennedy? What is it, Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah.
Where's Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on this. Yes, I do have a cold. Who's your daddy? Says, do you have a cold? Yes, I do. It's really troubling to see these recruitment videos, but also the movement towards a military draft. Of course, the U.S. Army War College publishing that paper just a few weeks ago on the draft perspective. And if you can't hit these recruitment goals and you're planning to go to war in China, you're planning a Middle East war, you're planning another front against Russia, how the hell are you going to hit those recruitment numbers? A draft is the answer, right? So the diversity trans videos didn't work. So maybe going back to your core will work again. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.